don't have an ego, we don't have a sense of I. That is what we are gradually learning. And by, as we become more aware of ourselves and more aware of our characteristics, we slowly develop that sense of I, which becomes like a very narrow passage where we are absolutely convinced that we are separate from each other and separate from the whole.
Yeah.
I am this and I am not that. This I want to be and this I don't want to be.
Yeah.
This is the ego, and we have to go through that phase of forgetting who we are in order to come to the point where in the heart chakra we can relax and open up to larger circles of connection. And then just opening until we are back into the all and one, you know. But now consciously. The child is there, but unconsciously. And through our journey, through the chakras and the stages of awakening, we come to remember who we are, you know, and that's what's called ecstasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, ecstasy is associated with the beyond the crown chakra, and it means outside of the identification with a self, with the idea of self.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate liberation.
One teacher told me, also a woman, a female, that we have to go through this narrow passage to develop compassion for all and everyone.
Yes.
So that I know how it feels like to be hurt, to hurt someone, to be discriminated, and so on.
Actually, yes, it's true that we have to come to a point where we suffer so much from the illusion of separation that at some point we surrender. We give up our attempts to become, you know, better than the other, or to become richer than the others, to become famous, and that we sort of either we break or we melt into the heart dimension, which is about compassion, about understanding. It's about understanding that we are not separate. It's the beginning, the dawning, the heart chakra is the dawning of the journey back home,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Now, are there certain ages where those things happen for people?
Well, in my courses and in my book, I am speaking about 7 levels of awakening, and I associate the chakras that are the symbols of the journey with 8 levels of 8 years. So the first 8 years in our lives, we are finding our place on earth, so to speak. And the first chakra is about survival strategies, and it's about belonging, the feeling of belonging. So in the first 8 years, we have to deal with the parents that we have, and we develop certain strategies to cope with the specific characteristics of our father and our mother. And we develop a sense of safety, of security in the family, you know.
Yeah.
And the second 8 years are about the second chakra, which is the awakening of sexuality and intimacy. And that's the first step. That's why sexuality and intimacy are so important. The first step back to connection. It's like in a body we are sort of isolated, and we fall in love with another person, another being, and we we need this feeling of being in love to overcome the fear of losing yourself into something that's bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we learn about the beginnings of love, the first stages of love.
And by love you mean?
Love is from the heart. It's the feelings that come from the heart.
Yeah, that cannot be rationalized.
It starts with sexuality, and also the second chakra is about emotions, because sexuality is usually very mixed up with emotions.
Yeah.
So we learn about jealousy, we learn about anger, we learn about fear, all these basic feelings that we need to experience, during our journey.
And why do we need to experience them? To develop compassion, or to
to come? Yeah. Well, actually, the journey in a body on planet Earth is like going to the movies. We are curious. We want to experience all kinds of things, and so we also need to forget that we are in a movie house. It has to be real. So, like when you go to the movies, you don't sit there and just tell yourself it's just a screen, it's just images, it's not true, it's just an illusion. No. Yeah. You want to just go in there, totally lose yourself and associate yourself with the actors.
Yeah.
As if you are them.
Yeah.
And it's the same with life on Earth. We are curious, we want to experience all kinds of things. And by experiencing them, we add to the totality of what is possible on Earth.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate intelligence is constantly expanding through the experiences of all the beings that it creates.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Then from age 16 to 24, the next 8 years?
Yeah, that's where we start separating ourselves from the parents, and we want to stand alone. We want to stand on our own.
Yeah.
And we want to become someone,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why we learn and we study and we get diplomas and stuff, so that we can really become someone special.
Yeah.
Also associated with the second chakra and looking for a partner and procreation and making sure that the offspring can be fed and can be educated and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the third chakra. And then in the process of winning a mate, it's important to have big cars, or at least a motorcycle, or the right tattoos.
Yeah.
That's all about age 16 to 24, and it's about searching for your uniqueness. How am I different from other people? How do I distinguish myself from others? How can I be the best?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does that go on also for the next 8 years, or does that come a shift
Yeah,
again?
24 to 32, that's where the heart space begins to enter into your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the relationship, sexuality unfolds into love, if all goes well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo-Yo, I heard that the age 40, that's like a crisis age for a lot of people. Do you agree that the old stuff doesn't work anymore?
Well, age 40 is the end of the fifth chakra, which is about honesty, about pure communication. It's the throat chakra. and it is the threshold between the 5th chakra and the 6th chakra, which is about non-duality, looking beyond the opposites.
Mm-hmm.
And age 40 is also the age where we have to learn about honesty, and it's the age where many of the relationships get into a crisis, because you've been together for so long. You want to look for other people, to have other aspects of yourself reflected, and in that process it happens that people fall in love with another person, and they break the vow of being true to the other.
Yeah.
And many times you see that people cannot be honest about that, so they do it secretly, and then when it's being found out, they're in trouble because then the mate usually does not accept that. And
is this a story from your own life? Because you smile when you talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have also gone through all these stages also in my relationships.
Yeah.
When my second relationship, when I found out that he had a girlfriend that he had not shared with me, I was very rigorous, and I just said, enough, and I broke the relationship. And in my third relationship, I had learned from that, and I was beginning to discover that it is possible to love more than one person, and to also feel physically attracted to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And in that relationship, which has lasted almost 12 and a half years, I had the opportunity to work my way through that, like my partner fell in love with someone else at a certain point, and I said, okay, that's probably what you need right now for your own development. Mm-hmm. So you just go ahead. And for a time that was okay, but then more and more he went to see her, and he started doing handiwork, helping her out, with all kinds of things. And then he came home only for doing the laundry.
Oh.
I slipped into bed around 2 or 3 o'clock at night. And at a certain point I felt, no, I can't take this,
No.
So I went to live in my studio, and I said, look, I can see that you need this, and it's okay, but I don't want to be on top of it, so I'll just take a little bit of distance. And then after a few weeks he came to me, he said, it's not possible. I cannot be with this woman if you're not there. And so, I felt that you are so important for me that I will break off the relationship. So he did. But she was a colleague of his, and so they kept seeing each other, and she kept putting flowers on his desk and stuff, and although they didn't have sex anymore together, it was still befriended with her. And so one day he asked me if it was okay to invite her for dinner with us.
Oh, that's a test.
It was a test.
Yeah. Did you agree?
And yeah, I agreed.
Yeah.
And we had a very nice dinner. And then after that, we sat in the living room, and we were having coffee together. And then I could see those do you call it?
Sparks?
Sparks between their eyes, and I could feel that there was just this longing for physical contact. And but they were just behaving,
Yeah. But did they maybe come to ask your approval again, or how did they come to ask your approval again for this?
No. She wanted to be also, loyal to me, and she had this friendship with him, But these looks and these sparks were so obvious that at some point I just stood up. I said, "Come on, folks, you just go and go to bed with each other again, you know, because this is you're not ready. You're not finished together."
No.
And strangely enough, they did, you know, pick up their sexual relationship. Mm-hmm. But strangely enough, after that, I did not have a problem with it anymore. I don't know what happened in between, but maybe I had come to see that it is true that you cannot just get to know yourself only through one person. Anyway.
And this was an example of honesty.
Yeah, and I really appreciated his honesty.
Yeah.
You know? He never lied about this, and he said, "Look, I can't help it. I have these feelings for this woman, and I don't know what it is." So, but by and by, gradually, they saw each other less and less and less, and then in the end, they were just friends. You know, without me demanding anything of the kind. So that was good. But what I found out later is that it's very important to be honest about it, and that it's important for a couple to keep looking at the contract they have made, because if sexual monogamy is one of the implicit parts of the contract, then it's not good to just go ahead with, you know, experimenting with other people without sharing that with your partner. And of course, if your partner is not enlightened enough to accept that you break the contract and withdraws, that's a risk that you have to take. Yeah. And that's a risk that many people in a certain stage of their life are very unwilling to take. So they rather do it secretly than be open about it. Yeah. And that's understandable from that stage of consciousness.
Can you tell us some more what happens after the age of 40? 40, 48 is...
Yeah, between 40 and 48, that's the sixth chakra, which is the third eye. And that has to do with by and by realizing that what we see as opposites are really two sides of the same coin, you know, and that everything that we attribute to another person in the way of judgment are reflections of parts of yourself that you have somehow suppressed or not even discovered, that you have a judgment on. And this chakra is about slowly coming to see that everything that you attribute to another, which you think or say that's not me, is really also a part of you. That's quite a process, and it's also very liberating in that your world becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, because you can embrace, if you do the work inside, you know, to come to terms with all these reflections. It is a period where you start embracing more and more of yourself as you see it reflected in the other. And this also makes that we are less fearful. The fear of the other, the fear of the enemy, just subsides as when you can see that the enemy is not the other person. The enemy is a part of yourself that you are opposing and that you cannot digest as yet.
Yeah. Can you maybe name an example how that works? When you meet someone a co-worker or a boss or...
Yeah, for me it works like this, you know. First of all, you become aware of the feelings that this person inspires in you, like irritation or fear or anger or feeling of murderous lust.
Yeah.
And it's important to give yourself permission to feel these feelings, to have these feelings, to acknowledge that they are there. Now, if you really do that to the bottom, acknowledging these feelings and feeling these feelings, then what happens is that they subside. And after that, you can look again, and you can ask yourself, when you look at the person, what is it that this person reflects of me?
Yeah.
And then it's nice if you can come to discover why these aspects of yourself are undigestible, why you have rejected them, why you have opposed them, and then gradually start to experiment with that behavior. And that can be very funny. Like an example, I had been to the sauna with a friend, and after that we sat at the bar for a drink, and there were a few more people sitting there, and there were two guys who were talking very loudly. And really like in such a way that I could not understand the friend I was with, and I started to become so irritated, you know, and I didn't want to interrupt, but I felt I could not really concentrate on our conversation anymore, and then all of a sudden I realized that. What was irritating me was the behavior of these guys, who were so, you know, not at all conscious of the other people around them. And I said, so I would never do such a thing. And then I asked myself, wouldn't I? Well, let's try. So that moment, I continued the conversation with my friend, and I just put up the volume of my voice even more than their volume.
Oh.
So and then we go down. All of a sudden, these two guys, they looked like this, like,
and they got
it. They got it, and they lowered their voices.
Yeah.
And so I caught their eyes, and I just winked at them, you know, and they got the message.
Yeah.
And it was such a relief.
Yeah. Because you allowed yourself to also act in this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the same I have with neighbors. Then some neighbor parks his car just in the street where there's normally no parking space, but that's convenient for him because he doesn't have to walk too far to his front door. It starts irritating me because I never dare to park my car over there. I would like to park my car over there sometime, because I know it's easier also, but I don't dare because I'm afraid I'll get comments from the neighbors about this. He just does it. There's some spiritual teachers who say to me, and that's why this guy puts his car over there, to make you aware of the fact that you are afraid to park your car over there, and you're afraid to get angry faces from your neighbors. Yeah. Is that true?
It's the same. It's the same thing.
Same mechanism.
Yes.
But you dare to higher your voice.
Yes.
Is that because you're not afraid then, or you know how it works?
Actually, you know, a part of my unfolding was through the Avatar courses, where you learn about these things, where you learn about that everything you see is your interpretation of what you see, so that everything you see is really you, you know, and that the only thing you need to do is to just take ownership of the projections that you have made.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was one thing in practice that I allowed myself to do.
Yeah. But that's after age 40, you become aware of those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we grow older. We go to 60, 65, 56, 56.
Yes. Now 40, 48, and then from 50, 56.
Yeah.
Yeah, to 56. That's what I call the crown chakra, which is about knowing, and it's about reclaiming your innocence, the innocence that you had when you were a child, you know, but now consciously. When you have reconciled the opposites, you know, in yourself and between you and the others and the world, then you start seeing clear, and then you start realizing that there is no right and wrong, that there's only discovery in ever unfolding expansions. And in my courses, I have combined art forms with all the chakras, and the seventh chakra for me is about clowning.
Clowning?
Yes, because the clown is innocent, you know, he can just be clumsy, he can just show his shortcomings, his limitations, you know, and people are allowed to laugh about him, and it doesn't bother him.
No.
So in a way, he's free.
Yeah.
And also the court jester is also part of the seventh chakra. He's the only one who can make fun of the king, you know.
Yeah.
But he has to be very clever and wise. He's the wise fool, because if he goes too far, his head will be chopped off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's a very subtle wisdom that you develop in that stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the final one, the eighth.
The eighth chakra, which is the transformation point, I call it, from being identified with your body, with your feelings, with your mind, to becoming again part of the whole, you know, where you are just pure being, and where you are totally present in the moment. And for that I use tantric exercises, and the idea is to create situations where people can experience ecstasy. We just talked about ecstasy, you know, as ecstasy, where you are no longer bothered about who you are and what people think of you, or what, you know, because you are just conscious of the totality that this body mind has arisen from, and where this body mind in the end will disappear into. And that's what I call the ultimate freedom, from where you can, if you just reach that realization, from where you can really start enjoying your life as a playground, really, where you can try out everything, and where nothing is wrong, and where you can just trust that existence is carrying you.
Yeah, but that's only at that age. I cannot realize this at age 35 or 40.
Well, of course, you know, the chakra model is a model.
Mm-hmm.
It does not mean that people cannot get enlightened at age 21.
Mm-hmm.
There are several examples of that. And it doesn't mean that there are not people who even after age 64 haven't seen the light and will never see the light until they die.
What does it depend on? Do you have to be ripe for it, or?
Well, I'm inclined to say that it's there are several ways you can look at that, but you can say it's just coincidence or good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Other people say it has to do with karma. Yeah, I'm inclined to say that, look at the trees. There are millions and millions of seeds falling from the trees every autumn, and only a couple of them fall into the earth and come to sprouting.
Yeah.
So the people who do not get it or go back into the recycling without having woken up to this realization, it doesn't mean that they are lesser people than the ones who are lucky enough to see the light.
Yeah.
But they happen to not meet the right people. They happen to not get into the right situations where these clicks can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this model is not for everyone.
Well, it's just for those people who are curious about themselves and who are not afraid to encounter parts of themselves that until that moment they have not faced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does it take a brave person to go for it?
Yeah, or at least people who have experienced things in their lives that have given them the insight that there is something missing, that there must be more to life,
Yeah.
Yeah, and usually it's only after certain things have happened, like an illness, or you're losing your job, or you're losing your wealth, or whatever. When things in life, in your material situation, break down, that you just sit and ask yourself, now, what is it really about?
Yeah.
Life? What is it that I really want? And that's usually the point at which people start looking for places where they can do the work, as I call it.
Yeah. For me, the question always was, how come this world doesn't make me happy for a long time? Then my question to you is also, can the world make you happy?
Well, as the world is just your creation of the world, there's only one thing that we need to come to realize, and that is that it's only ourselves, it's only myself who can make me happy, or rather happiness is in here, and we are looking it out there.
Yeah.
And we have to make a 180-degree turn and go inside and remove layers of unconsciousness in order to reach to the treasure of happiness.
Yeah.
Happiness is our intrinsic birthright, so to speak, but it has to be uncovered.
Yeah. And that
no other person can make you happy.
No person.
We are looking for happiness in our partner, but the
Mhm.
partner cannot make you happy. Wealth cannot make you happy. It doesn't have to make you unhappy either.
Mhm.
But fame cannot make you happy. And this is something that we need to learn to come to realize during the journey.
But should we then go out and try everything, try to get happy by gaining fame, gaining money, gaining the best partner, the best car?
Apparently that's what we do.
Yeah, we still try it. It doesn't work if we both say to the watcher, the viewer, don't try it.
No,
You
no,
have
we
to
have
find
to.
out.
Yeah. We have to just go through all these attempts to find happiness out there, you know, until we have come to a saturation point where a shift can happen.
Yeah. And that shift, is that what people mean by getting enlightened or waking up?
Yeah, that's the shift. Well, the shift can be the beginning of a trajectory that we choose, you know, to do inner work, to find out about who we really are. The shift does not mean that instantly there is self-realization. There may be a way to go, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have an explanation, Yo-Yo, why it looks like so many people are interested in this subject of self-realization the last 10, 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
How come?
Yes, well, that's because apparently more and more people come to realize that there is more to life than what they are living. Here in our Western world, which is a very material world, we seem to slowly have come to a saturation point where we can see that this is ultimately not making me happy.
Yeah.
And that's where the self-inquiry may start. Yeah.
Yeah. You just started translating your Dutch book into English.
Mm-hmm.
Do you already have the title of the book in English?
Yes, the title is Blossoming in the Bog. And I like the alliteration, which is also in the Dutch title. Yeah. And it's a metaphor of the lotus that takes its nourishment from the
dirt,
the mud and the stinking marsh or moor or bog, you know.
Yeah.
And transforms it into beauty. And that's also how we as humans can use the shit of the world,
yeah,
the shit in ourselves, and transform it into wisdom, knowing, the ultimate unconditional love that we all can develop.
Yeah.
Which starts with an unconditional love for yourself, including, you know, all your failures, including all your horrible devilish side, everything, you know, and that's quite a job. Yeah.
Yeah. And when is the book to be released in English?
It will probably be available as a PDF by the end of this year.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit before.
Are you planning to do any courses in foreign countries than the Netherlands?
I have been invited to come and do workshops in Thailand and in the Philippines. And I'm looking forward to that very much. Because usually I do retreats in Europe, which I continue to do, by the way. But it's also nice to go to the East, where I have found a lot of inspiration for the work that I do, you know. And so it's also nice to be able to do something back and work with the people there. Yeah.
And you have a title for the course you give.
Flowering.
Yeah, flowering.
Flowering, yeah.
Because of the lotus.
Because of this idea of the blossoming in the bog, you know, where you can just transform any shit that's inherent in you or in the world, can transform it into innocence, beauty, understanding, and conditional love.
And how do I know if I'm flowering or I'm still stuck in the mud and not growing?
Well, actually, you know, a sign for you that you are developing into this beauty is that you feel more and more at ease with yourself, more and more relaxed in all kinds of situations, more and more at ease with all kinds of people that you meet on the way. That's a sign that you are expanding your perception of the world.
Yeah. And not trying to make people into something that is less threatening to you, or that you like more, or just leaving.
Yeah, you stop wanting to change people to accommodate you.
Yeah.
You can let people be who they are and love them and accept them where they are in their stage of development.
Yeah.
So you develop more understanding for why people act this way or behave that way.
And how come that this process, these courses you give, works better in a group than one-on-one, or is that not true?
I also do one-on-one work, but the group has the advantage that you can serve as a mirror to the others, and all the others are mirroring, reflecting aspects of you that you had not discovered before.
Yeah.
So both, your positive sides and your negative sides, and so it is very helpful for the work when you are in a group.
Yeah. And do you still accept people for new groups? Is there room?
Yeah. Every spring and every autumn, in principle, I start with a new group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and twice a year I do a retreat, a 1 week retreat in a European country as well.
Yeah.
Like in October we go to Sardinia, and in spring next year we go to Samos in Greece.
And why especially those places?
Well, Samos has become, the owner of the center there has become a good friend, and we have been going there off and on for 15 years with groups. But I sometimes also go to France or to England or to Italy or Portugal.
Yeah.
Depends upon what presents itself.
And how come you are still so enthusiastic about doing these courses, working with those people? You could easily say, well, I'm now over age 70, I'm going to sit on the couch all day with a nice box of chocolates and watch my favorite TV show, even though I don't see a TV in here, but that's another story.
I do like chocolates, and I do watching TV and movies, yes. But this is it's something that's so fulfilling, this work, and it is so enriching, because I continue to also unfold more and more and more with each and every person that joins my groups. It is.
It works two ways.
It works two ways. Yes. And so this is something. It is a passion that you can follow until the grave, as long as I live, and can walk and talk and hear and see. I can do this work. Yeah, and it becomes more and more effective also as you grow older and have had more experiences. You can come up with better suggestions, and you can understand more of what's going on in people.
Yeah.
And so you can find the adequate answers to the questions that arise.
Yeah. Bringing it back to the beginning of this interview, can you say that beautiful being on the photo next to you, Osho, and his initiation, that this is all a result of that?
Yeah, actually it has started there. When I sat before him, I thanked him for the miracles that had happened to me during my time in Pune, because I really experienced a couple of miracles there. And then he had this subtle smile, and he said, many more miracles are going to happen after this. And that's what has happened, you know. More and more I become miracle-mindedness. I can see the wonders of nature. I can see the wonders of the physical body. I can see the wonders of our feelings, the wonders of our minds, you know, our sharp minds. And it's all becoming more and more miraculous, more and more a complete mystery. And I no longer try to solve the mystery. More and more I am living the mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for this great talk. When people want to reach you, you have a very easy website. In the sense of the website address, it's yoyo.nl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yoyo.nl.
Yeah.
yoyo.nl.
Yeah, that sounds good. And there's going to be an English version of the site also.
Yes, I'm about to just add a part with an English flag, where people can find the information that may be useful for people abroad about my retreats and also my courses and workshops. Because I love to also go abroad and do workshops wherever there are 8 people or more who would like to do the work with me.
Yeah. And Skype sessions with people from abroad, are you open to that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
My Skype name is Humanifold. It is a non-existing word which I have invented myself. It's about
human?
It's a combination of humanity and manifold.
Yeah.
It means just the manifold options that we have living in a body as a human being.
Humanifold.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to search you up on Skype. Thanks for this talk, and till next time.
Welcome.
Visiting Prajna Paramita for the second time. First interview we did was in Dutch, and now we're talking English with each other. Little shift in the mind.
Right.
Thank you for having me. How come Prajna Paramita, when I come and visit people like you, people who talk about truth, that it almost feels like, or it does feel like, I'm visiting old friends. No, it's total, how do you say, the same. No
barriers.
No distinguish between you and me.
No borders.
No borders.
Yeah.
No history that I think, what do I know about this woman?
Yeah. We meet in sameness. We don't meet in differences. We meet in sameness. And that makes it always so easy. Very, very intimate, actually, immediately. Mm-hmm. Indeed, what you say, old friends.
Yeah.
Or the differences merge in the meeting of one.
Yeah.
And everybody thrives. You thrive, I thrive. It's just lovely.
Yeah. Because some people could say, who don't know about this subject, well, how long do you know this man or woman?
Right.
And she invites you to her house, and isn't that strange to be there?
Yeah,
and no expectations.
Yeah. Just this immediacy also. We don't need any formality. We immediately meet in the heart.
Yeah.
And that is, it's lovely.
Most people have that when they come somewhere and there's a dog. They kneel down. The dog kisses them in the face. They give them hugs, and they haven't seen that dog before.
Yeah, right.
How come we people don't meet like that?
We have forgotten to be ourselves. We have forgotten to be natural. We are conditioned to be to live on image level. Mm-hmm. We connect on images, and we connect on ideas. What do you do? Are you more important than me? Are you more rich than me? You know, all of that. And it is, and we always feel so alone. In that kind of connection, we feel so alone. And when we meet in the heart, and that is not a connection, that is communion. But we have forgotten. I think for many decades now, we have developed ourselves on the level of likes and dislikes. That we run after our likes and oh, I like this, I like that, oh, that's exciting, oh, that's new novelty, new experiences, la 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 la. And we run away from pain and distress and anxiety. So that's the line we follow. But we have forgotten what is really essential. And that is the fulfilled heart. That doesn't need these continuous satisfaction. Continuous satisfaction.
Of what?
Of filling up an innermost emptiness, continuous craving, continuous need to fill up, this need, gimme. Because when I'm really silent in myself, it hurts. I feel the pain. I feel the loneliness. I feel that nothing makes any sense. I feel my anger. I feel my restlessness. So I don't want to go there. I want to fill it up. And we pay a very high price for having forgotten what is really essential in life. The fulfilled heart that is hiding behind the restlessness and the fear and the pain.
But then when I walk into your house, I immediately feel fulfilled. And that's not because you offer me coffee or cookies, or that it's nice and cozy and warm here, but indeed, the heart gets filled with the other. So could you say that all the stuff we put in our drink, we drink, we snort, whatever, is all a substitute for a lack of...
A lot. I think a lot. When we hunt for it, when we hunt for the fulfillment, and to dispel the restless, what I call the restlessness and the fear, it serves a purpose to cover it up. I know that from my own youth, I felt very lost in this world. And I thought, as a child, I already thought, how is it possible that people live so superficially? How is it possible? How can it ever be enough? And don't they know that they're going to die? I couldn't get it. And when I've met Alexander Smith for the first second, I knew, this is it. So I recognized what was really essential and what would really give me, maybe after a long time, maybe after many, many years, would give me peace of heart. So I knew that no substitute would ever be enough. Yeah.
Alexander Smith is famous for a lot of things, but but also the saying that we are all love looking for itself.
Right. You already are what you're looking for. You already are. So we are looking for ourselves. We are looking. And actually by this search, we are walking away from ourselves. Actually, we abandon ourselves by looking for fulfillment or looking for the love that we are. And usually it takes quite a while, our inner journey, to come to this point where we do no longer walk away from ourselves, where we are so mature that we can be still and receive all of life from our own heart. So that's quite amazing. Yeah.
You say we don't have to look for love because we are love.
Yeah.
Does that love need an object in the world to reflect that love back to us? Or
it can be very helpful. Yeah, it can be very helpful. You know, it's easy to say, yeah, you don't have to look for love because you are. Yeah, but you know, if you can't realize this, it is meaningless. It's just words. But when you need to, from top to toe, you need to realize what this really means. And anything can be of help. Nature can be of help. Music can be of help. A good friend, a very strong experience, a spiritual guide, you know, whatever aids this is at your service. Yeah, and I would always suggest receive help. If there is help, receive it. You know, I was incredibly grateful for my gurus who could show me, who could were just tapping on the door of my heart. Hey, wake up, open the door, and see for yourself. You know?
And is that the only way, or is there, for example, a way where I could go out in the world and do volunteer work, help refugees from Syria, work with disabled people, with children? Is that also a tap on the heart, or?
Could be. And I think, you know, we can go a very, very long way in our awakening journey without a spiritual guide. But, you know, the last step is really difficult without a guide at your side.
And why is that so difficult?
It's so difficult to see the last defense mechanism, because inside of us, everything wants to protect this sense of being, what we call I. Because our psyche has this idea that when I dies, you die. And you want to be. So there's always a battle going on between, of course I want to be. And also, it's a big burden to be. So this is a very strong battle going on, and the deeper you go in yourself, the more essential and more strong the powers are. So these people are around, and I always think they are there to help you.
Make use of them.
Make use of them, as they are there. Yeah, make use of them.
But how come a guru can, let's say, bring me across the bridge?
Yeah.
And I cannot walk over the bridge by myself, that last walk over the bridge.
It's rare. It sometimes happens, but it is rare.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks I'm the one who can do it. Yeah, you know, and some can.
Yeah.
Well, you ask the same question, and I don't know if I can give another answer. That is this struggle, this fight, this yes and no, this living and dying, it comes to a peak. And for most of us, we want to protect this the last trace of I sense. We don't want to surrender this willingly.
Yeah.
Usually it is taken away from us when we physically die. And in your awakening journey, you do this willingly. You merge with the totality of life willingly. You surrender. It's heroic. It's beautiful. To give all of your sense of importance of being somebody with all its blah blah blah, to give it. Actually, it has never been me. It is falsely acclaimed. Every sense of I is falsely acclaimed. So you surrender it to what? To whom? Never to a person. You surrender it to, let's say, truth, to all of life, you know, to the great undividable one. to this great mystery. Yeah.
Now at this time we're doing this interview, there's in the south of Holland, there's this big festival going on. We call it Carnival.
Right.
And people easily trade in their importance by wearing a funny hat and a red nose. And I somewhere read that that's also a kind of showing to each other that we're not that important at all. And we just and we feel great.
We feel great when we do not have to be.
Yeah.
When we do not have to be somebody.
Yeah.
So that again is this friction. We live our lives with this self-importance, and we want to be important, and we want to be somebody. And also when we don't have to be somebody, we are so happy.
Yeah.
Like in deep sleep.
Yeah.
We are so happy when we not need to be.
Yeah.
We are so happy when we do not have to entertain any identity. And also we want it. So again, there's this friction.
Yeah.
To be and not having to be.
Yeah. To be or not to be, that's the question.
Hamlet said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there maybe a crisis needed in someone's life to come to that point where you say, I give it up all? You get fired, you get divorced, your house burns down.
Can be helpful, but hopefully not. Usually people learn after a crisis. And I always think, that's so sad. Why don't you learn by just honestly looking into your life and detecting your strategies to run away from painful places. So be more intelligent than needing a crisis. Look into your life. Listen to what you speak. Look at how you behave, your acts. That tells you a lot about how you operate. So it requires so much honesty. And then you quickly see that there is nothing more fulfilling than the fulfilled heart. Mm-hmm. That is free of craving and free of need and free of the expectation, all of that.
Can it be helpful to, let's say for a month, write down everything that happened that day? Or
can be helpful, yeah, can be helpful. But usually this vigilance, this being aware is enough. But it can be helpful. When it easily slips away, you write it down. During my awakening journey, I had a diary also, because it was helpful for me. I had nobody to talk to. So it was helpful to what was subtly going on in me, to make it concrete by giving it words. But also sometimes I was reading back, and then half a year later, I was reading back for half a year previous to that, and I said, gee, I already saw this half a year ago. How come? I was not paying enough attention. I had already seen it, but it slipped out of my fingers. It was too subtle. So it can really be helpful. It can be helpful. Yeah.
You say be very alert.
Yeah, vigilant. Yeah. Vigilant. Yeah. It's not an effort. Mm-hmm. It's not something that you do. It is just being awake, being aware, being present. Mm-hmm. Being present, yeah. Not in this gluey, dreaming state, yeah.
And should I get rid of distractions?
What does that mean, a distraction?
Well, you could say that I have my coffee at 8:30 and I then watch a TV series and I then read my book and then I go to bed. That's how I do my routine every day.
Yeah.
So sort of comfortable numbness. And you could say that, well, okay, let's skip that for a while.
And see what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Just sit on the couch and no coffee at 9:30, no watching the evening news. Not because for me, all that are little things where I
cling to.
Yeah, I cling to. And I don't have to be with myself then.
Yeah.
The attention is...
Yeah. You can do if you want. You don't need to. But I know exactly what you mean. We have... usually we how you say, design a life, you know, that is protected like that. So we design our life and we live in our comfort zone.
Yeah.
So that, but at the moment we are disturbed in our comfort, then what is happening? Yeah. Am I reacting, you know? How do I react? How do I respond? So I have this wonderful place in France where people come and go all the time, and they are immediately out of their comfort zone. Immediately, because they cannot protect this zone anymore. So quickly it shows up, you know, what is, where there is a friction in you, where you feel immediately dissatisfied, or it shows immediately. Yeah. So when you cut your comfort zone, quickly you see where you are at, what your real capacity is. Yeah.
That famous saying that if you think you're so enlightened, go and spend a week with your father and mother.
Yeah.
Then you know.
Very good idea.
Yeah. So, very practical.
Life will always show you.
Yeah.
So we can all have nice blah and think of ourselves how free and blah we are, but life will tell. Life will show us immediately. And we just need to be honest to admit,
Yeah.
That. And then so what? Yeah.
And that's not only on an individual level, because let's say on the collective level here in Holland, we always thought that we were very tolerant and very loving and peaceful, and then a couple of thousand refugees come.
Yeah, that's enough.
And everybody is going mad and not in my street.
Exactly. Or even when I take a parking place that somebody else wants.
Ooh,
already, that can be...
Yeah. So we think we're very civilized, but is that just a small...
Very thin layer.
Cover-up.
Very, very, very thin layer. You know, if you and I sit together in this room, we are now very comfortable. If we don't eat and sleep for 3 days, where are we?
Yeah.
Where are we? It's a very thin layer of comfort.
But, okay, what would that say about me, that after 3 days I would go completely mad here?
Maybe not.
You don't know?
No, maybe not. Maybe we sing and dance together. Maybe you're still happy. Yeah. But it shows.
Yeah. A colleague of yours, Byron Katie, does that sort of practices with people. She drops them in the morning in the middle of Berlin and say, I'm going to see you this evening at this address.
Yeah.
No money, no car.
Right.
No.
Something like that.
Just go. Is that some practices you do with people also in France?
I don't do anything.
No?
I don't do anything. No, we just live together. And we always have projects. So people are often behind a wheelbarrow. You know, this needs to go there. Yeah. Or we're together in the garden. Me too. I'm one of them. I'm just one of the gang.
Yeah.
So we hold the place together, and everything and every moment is showing us something. If we are willing to see, willing to listen, willing to be honest. Yeah, but I'm not doing anything. It is immediately apparent. Immediately.
So the big CEO of a Dutch national corporation maybe sometimes visits you.
Right.
And he's also with dirty hands behind the wheelbarrow.
Right. And often very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have to. Yeah. Just boots.
Yeah.
Splitting wood. You know, like that.
Yeah. You also do meetings over here in Holland every 6 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah, you tell me there's often new people come and visit you.
Yeah.
What are the most heard questions? What is a typical, let's say, beginner question? How do I know this for sure, what you're telling me? Or
it's not easy to say. What is a beginner question?
What is the most heard question? How am I can I become happy?
How is a big one. How? Because we are conditioned on, like people say, yeah, I get what you say, I understand. Now tell me how. Just tell me how.
Yeah.
We are so conditioned on how.
Yeah.
We are so conditioned on problem solving and strategies and techniques.
Reaching.
And from one step to the other. You just tell me how.
Yeah.
There's no how. There's no how. And before we can accept that, we always want the next step. But what this is really about, how does no longer apply.
And what does apply?
To become so still, to not move, and rest, completely rest. Your psyche, your thinking patterns, your strategies, to come to full stop. All ideas of problem solving, all ideas of improving yourself. We are always on the move of improving ourselves. Here, everything stops. And usually it takes some maturing before you can wholeheartedly accept that. Okay. To be completely still and rest your entire being. To no longer move away from yourself. To no longer abandon yourself in search of yourself. The search is actually prohibiting. Is that the right word? The search is
avoiding.
Yeah, is avoiding to find yourself. Yeah, the search itself is an avoiding strategy.
It's postponing.
Is postponing
the thing.
It is postponing the immediacy of this very moment,
Yeah.
the immediacy of life now.
Yeah.
So either we dwell in the past, licking our wounds, or we worry about the future. But living this moment is quite something.
Yeah. It reminds me of a movie with Tom Hanks where he gets in a plane crash and he gets stuck on an island by himself.
Right.
Yeah.
This ball.
Yeah.
He makes a friend.
Yeah,
he makes a friend.
With a volleyball. Yeah.
Whoa, what a wonderful movie. Yeah.
And sometimes with this knowledge, you can see this story repeating in a lot of stories.
Exactly.
People get stuck at one place and then no more hope for the future.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is taken away.
Yeah.
Everything is taken away. But he still makes the friend.
Yeah.
So he's not completely going into this
aloneness.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And in your awakening journey, this is what you meet. This is what you meet. Aloneness. Sooner or later you meet it. And sooner or later you fully allow. You fully allow to be taken over.
Yeah. Is that maybe a hindrance or something to watch out for, that sometimes when you, let's say, I come to France and I feel so very cozy with all the people who are interested in the same thing, we're doing nice stuff, we're eating together, that becomes another comfort zone for me, that family atmosphere. Should I go alone in the woods and sit in a cage for 1.5 years? Would that?
Anything can do it. Anything. There is not really a strategy. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
I heard once a story, long time ago, and I was in a Zen monastery. And in the Zen monastery, koans are given. So the master says to the student, "This is your koan. You just sit there. I see you in a year." And then the student sits there for a year with his koan, and all that comes, and the anger, the frustration, and I'm not going anywhere, comes after a year to the master, thinks, I've got it. And then he's very excited and tells the master, "Master, this is it." And the koan says, and the master says, "Go back, I see you in a year." And this goes on, year after year after year, and everything is building up.
Yeah, frustration.
And after 12 years, the student is dismissed. And he is at the peak of his frustration. And he said, "Well, master, you just forget the whole thing." It's very impolite to say something like that in Japan. "You just forget the whole thing." And he goes out of the door and he slams the door. And he is so angry and so that the door slams on his leg. And his leg is cut off. And by the moment this happens, he awakens. Everything was in this culmination, He awakens. So then all his friends think, that's the trick. I just have to cut off my leg.
Yeah.
And that became the one-legged order of monks.
Yeah.
So then you think, it is like that. I just have to do like that. Or I have to sit in a cave. Or I have to do this. Or I have to do that. No.
No, there's not one.
No. Anything. Yeah. Actually, you can hone some qualities. You can hone your courage. You can hone your perseverance, the trust, like that. You can make kind of character foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And then anything can be at your side, but make everything at your side. So when you really listen to what you speak and what you do and how you like to cover up a painful situation, when you really become aware of that, every moment is a teaching. Every friction shows you what you have projected, what you are defending, what you are protecting. Every moment is a teaching. It's calling you home. So that is so beautiful.
Life shouts it you in the face all the time.
All the time, right. Are you willing to listen?
And that could be a simple thing as I'm...
watching a bird.
Yeah, I'm thinking about a frustrating thing that I'm having an appointment at 11 a.m. with you, and at 5 before 11 a.m. here at the traffic light, someone's car breaks down in front of me, and I can't pass him. I have to wait for 10-15 minutes. I have to help this man get this car out of the way, and such on. What does that bring up? Does it only bring up frustration, or maybe in my case it brings up, okay, let's help this man. Get the car to you.
Yeah, exactly. Can be a lot of things.
Yeah.
It can even bring up, I have no time for you now, I have an appointment. It can be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But whatever is triggered, you observe it without any judgment. And you tap the wisdom of it. You tap the wisdom out of the situation.
The one thing is not better than the other thing.
I don't think so.
Not helping.
No.
Being frustrated, being not frustrated. Maybe that's the thing.
Maybe it gives you more space, gives people more space when we don't have to evaluate and define and judge every single moment. But we're just aware. Okay.
So I don't have to act in a particular way. I don't have to be a good Dutch citizen by helping everyone.
Not for me. If this is your nature, go ahead. But if this is your survival strategy, be aware.
Yeah. But how do I make that distinction?
Not with your mind. Your heart will always show you. Your heart knows.
If you're doing something out of protecting...
Yeah, yourself, or that it is natural. Your heart always knows.
And we always know the quality of someone's action. You can feel sometimes, mostly, if you are... Right. Are you doing this purely out of love?
Or to please me, or whatever.
Gain compliments.
Yeah.
So that quality, we know.
We know.
Yeah.
And you also know that when you are just yourself and natural, that you are at ease with yourself. Yeah. And sometimes you help, and maybe sometimes you don't help. Yeah. Sometimes this is the right thing to do. But you feel, maybe you feel hurried, and you don't help, and then later something is nagging. And the nagging is showing you,
What is it showing me?
The nagging.
Yeah? What does it show?
That something probably was out of place. And then you learn from it and you move on.
Yeah. Afterwards you think, okay, I didn't help this man, but that's purely okay.
Yeah.
Or you think, well, I was afraid that the one I was going to interview was going to say, what is that with you?
Exactly. Yeah.
So through the years, you met Alexander Smith, you told us about, and Shanti Mai.
And Punaji, in a disciple of Ramana Maharshi in India. I stayed some winters with him also, yeah.
And what came up for you during that winter time?
It was Punaji,
Yeah?
Yeah, again, like with Alexander Holm. I mean, what a lion, what a beauty. And I met him when he was in his early 80s. So it was so, for 50 years he had expressed this. For half a century it was so full and so rich and so wonderful. So I feel very grateful that I sat at his feet for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He passed away now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has he passed on his teaching not only to you but also to other?
Many. After Osho passed, quite a gang from Osho people came to him. So until that time, he was giving satsang in his house and in other people's houses, but in a small. Until his late 70s, it was quite a small group, and then came this whole wave of Osho people, and there was a big hall being built for him. And the last years of his life was, many people coming and going all the time in Lucknow in India. Yeah.
And how did you know that a guru was not needed no longer anymore? Was that told to you?
No.
How does that work?
Yeah. Also, that is for everybody different.
How was it for you?
How was it? For me, it was not the one leg incident, the story of the one leg.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was, I was in India, and I came to the ashram of the master of my master at the Ganges. And the first time that I came there, I felt like, wow, so a profound, timeless recognition of this little place at the ashram. And I was just sitting there. And for every day, for many hours, I was finding a quiet corner to sit and completely dissolving. And then one night, my whole journey came to full stop by a timeless event that lasted for hours, that was made of light. So there was a very powerful flood of light going through me and erasing me completely, burning everything up. So it was, it's not easy to describe. And it was as well, it was very powerful. It was almost like my body could maybe not take it, mm-hmm. as it was very subtle. Like I could almost forget. And so this long awakening journey came to full stop in that night. But I couldn't give words to that at that time. So I couldn't say, oh, now I'm awakened. Mm-hmm. I had no capacity to that. I had no capacity to reflect. The words was not easy for me to formulate. So the next day I went to the ashram and sat again and was dissolved for many hours in a very deep meditation. And it was only a long time later that I was able to reflect and acknowledge that was the night where everything stopped, came to full stop. Mm-hmm. And after that is 20 years ago. And after that has been no more change.
And did you tell anyone?
No.
No saying, well, I've seen it. Bye,
no.
Guys.
No, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my guru. I didn't tell anyone. I went just back and sat in silence. Yeah.
And that is also this thing that happened for you, or however you call it, that struck you, that's no blueprint for everyone, so we have to wait until the white light flashes us over.
I would suggest not even to wait. I would suggest to no longer make a horizon, make no longer a goal, but to bring everything back to here, now, and to see yourself rather as an awakening being than one being in search of awakening, because the search is pushing away the horizon.
Yeah.
But when you relax completely in yourself and see yourself as awakening, you can see yourself as expanding, beyond any limits, beyond any borders, beyond any ideas. That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And this sublime moment, if it is there, can be very exciting, and it can be very subtle. It can be Jean Klein awakened watching a flock of birds. It can be anything. Yeah. I've heard somebody awakening watching Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I take some pet peeves from the Advaita scene and
some what?
Yeah, how do you call it? Some things people love to talk about in the Advaita scene.
Let's see.
And let's see what your reaction to that is. Am I not the body?
From my point of view, no. Maybe you see yourself as your body, and as long you believe to be a person, you will identify with your body. Yeah.
The person needs the body to...
Imagines. Yeah. Person, mind and body is like in the same box. In the same box with time. Time and space, yeah.
Time, space, person.
Mind, body.
Mind, body.
Yeah.
All part of that...
Same box.
And that box we could call...
illusion.
The dream.
Or the dream, as you like. The dream. The imagination, the illusion, the misunderstanding. You can give it lots of names. Relative reality, you can also call it.
And could I say that it's not strange that I believe to be this illusion, because it's told to me
it's a mass belief.
Yeah.
It's in our mass consciousness, for sure, of course. Yeah. But our mass consciousness is quite a delusion. So it's not for most people. It is not obvious that we realize. Wait a minute. This is not what I really am. This body. This body is my vehicle, the gift, to experience life, like my feelings, like my thoughts. It's the gift to experience life. It's not my true identity, and this we have to see.
Because when we still identify with all those things, you call the illusion box. Suffering is part of the package.
Yeah, absolutely. Suffering. Yeah, longing, fear, hopelessness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can you say what you as a guru gives us instead of that box of illusions? Yeah.
So then, if I'm not this box with illusions, what am I?
Yeah.
And that is, you cannot really speak this, because what you really are is prior to any word, to any name. But any name will do, because any name can point in this direction. So whatever, truth can never be spoken, but we can direct, we can point in a direction, like unconditional love, like freedom, like peace, like joy, causeless joy, like lightheartedness, playfulness. These are colors of this mystery that cannot really be expressed, but can be revealed to itself, by itself, in you.
Yeah. So you can taste the flavor of it.
Exactly. You can taste the flavor, but it cannot really be spoken. Yeah. But the direction is good enough, like a like a needle of a compass. It can never be completely the north. It cannot, but it points in the right direction. And it's the same with the mystical expression.
Yeah.
It's never true. It's close as words can speak. Yeah.
And why is it so hard to get rid of an illusion?
Usually it is wrapped in fear. But when we find the courage and see through a particular situation or painful place, and all of us have experienced that, when we are through it, we think, what was that all about? Huh?
Yeah.
Was it really so difficult? Was it really so fearful? No. And that should give us courage to see through the next tight knot. Yeah. When you're through it, you think,
no big deal.
No big deal. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some teachers say that the big deal is still keeping and investing in that illusion and keeping the illusion.
Yeah, that's what I call fear.
Yeah.
That's what I call fear.
And I'm afraid of losing my investment or
you're afraid of disappearing.
Disappearing.
Yeah, to die.
Yeah. To dissolve. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I walk into a cinema, I love to dissolve.
Exactly. So here we are back to 20 minutes ago, where we were talking about this friction you want and you don't want. Yeah. So there needs to be a power that is stronger than your fear. Yeah. And that power can be your thirst or your despair or your longing or somebody at your side supporting you. Yeah, encouraging you, empowering you, investing in you. Like I have had. Yeah, biggest gift in my life. Yeah.
Bigger than your children?
That is difficult to say, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of a worldly thing that people say that's the biggest gift.
Yeah. It's a different domain. Of course, I cannot really answer that. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. The word love. I don't know if we spoke about it earlier in this interview.
Not yet.
No.
Yeah.
That's let's say in the illusionary world, that's the biggest thing you can get. Love and sex. That's like closest to the divine.
Yeah.
But that love is a love that can come and go.
Oh yeah, your beloved can walk away any moment.
Yeah. That makes.
And you can get bored, or your beloved gets bored with you or me. Yeah. So it's fragile.
Yeah.
But what does it mean that we want this lover? What does it mean? You know, it's an echo of the love that you already are, and we invest in the echo, and we don't invest in this essential awakening journey.
Yeah.
So usually people are satisfied with the echo, with the shadow, you know, and not with the light. And sex, of course we love sex because there also we disappear. And there is the echo of this union.
Yeah.
The echo of this union. And we think this is it. And we want to have it again and again and again and again. And if we just go within, here it already is. It already is. This sacred union already is. The ultimate beloved is here.
Osho once called having an orgasm a poor man's realization.
Beautiful. Yeah, a poor man's realization. Yeah. And the sadness of it is that it needs to be repeated. It's never, it gives satisfaction, it gives for just a little bit, a little while.
And mostly afterwards, I don't know if people, you recognize it, you, after 10 minutes and half an hour, you feel empty again or lonely.
Yeah, right.
Lonely. Or
Right. So it only stills the loneliness for a very short while.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you know that from your own life experience, and you have heard what is possible, why not go for...
Yeah.
This
you always say, go for the gold.
Go for the gold. Go for the gold. When I heard this, you know, for the first time, I thought, this is it. And I already knew that nothing in the world would fulfill me. I already knew that when I was 19. When I was at secondary school, 16, 17, I had 3 desires. I wanted to live in Amsterdam. I wanted to study medicine. And I wanted a boyfriend. And when I was 19, I was living in Amsterdam. I was studying, I was at medical school, and I had a boyfriend. And I looked and I thought, it's not enough. Yeah. So then I realized, now all my desires are fulfilled. I'm not happy. Not happy enough. It needs to be repeated again and again and again and again. So I knew already then that nothing in the world would ever fulfill me. And that was confirmed the moment I met a truly awakened soul. So it was very easy for me to not longer be seduced by something secondary.
Yeah, at a very young age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it took a while before I met him, because there was nobody in Holland to testify, to express from an awakened place, if you can call it a place.
Yeah, that was Alexander Smit.
Right.
He's no longer among us.
No.
He passed away in '98. There are a lot of material online which we can listen to and watch. You told me that he said after 2 or 3 times he saw you that he says, well, you're going to speak about this the rest of your life, either if you want it or not.
Right.
How did it make that? How did it make you feel when he said that?
I said, I know that.
Oh, you knew?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Not afraid that you think, oh my God, what's happening here?
I've known this all my life. Yeah. Fear is not so my thing. Yeah. I'm not going there. No, there's better, something better. And he showed me. He was the first one who showed me. So when I met him, wherever he was, I was.
Yeah.
I never skipped a satsang, never ever, flew or not. Yeah.
Did your mind not explain that as being in love with this guy?
No. The meeting was so, was of another realm. Where I met him was of another realm. I never felt, I loved him like nobody else. Mm-hmm. And I was married, I loved my husband too, you know, and I loved my children. My children were very, very young then. But this was of another world, this love. So everything in a togetherness with an awakened being is of another world. And that was very clear to me from the first moment.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
Never. No.
When Alexander passed away, did you cry?
No. But I have always loved him like nobody else. Mm-hmm. And I was very, very close to him. And for 10 years or so. I miss him sometimes. And I have these sweet memories of him. He saved my life. Yeah. So grateful.
You don't think that this would have crossed your path if you didn't meet Alexander? Would you become a medical student again and stayed married and...
Oh, much worse than that.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was really desperate. Because as I said, you know, I knew from so long that nothing would fulfill me. And that was very painful to acknowledge. Because there's nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to strive for.
Yeah.
You know, even the story of Lord Buddha is so beautiful. He was a prince, expected to be a king. And he was married to the most beautiful girl. And he had a beautiful son. But the moment he saw, he was leaving his kingdom. Yeah. He was leaving his son, he was leaving his wife. And that shows that He had everything, but nothing was enough for him.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a kingdom, but nothing was enough for me.
Yeah.
Nothing. So that's extremely painful. Yeah.
Did your parents not react like most parents do? They say, well, come on, count your blessings.
Yeah, you're so dissatisfied.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't say that, but my friend said, you're so dissatisfied, and you are spoiling your life. You had all these possibilities. You're just throwing it away, and like that, yeah. But they had no inkling. Not really, no. She's doing something with this strange man, and she's going to courses, and yeah.
There's this song by the Irish group U2. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. When you're talking about this stuff and you hear music, so you often hear that cry for freedom or that cry.
Exactly, it's in everybody's heart.
Yeah.
More or less covered up.
Yeah. And some people go to cocaine, or some people travel all the world.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing now. Most people want new experiences. This is what is going on now. Most people want new experiences, so they come to a satsang here, then they go to Hawaii, and they go to ayahuasca, and then new experiences, new experiences. That is now very fashionable.
And that's not.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, new experiences.
And this can't be found in an experience.
Ultimately not. Ultimately not. No, an experience is by definition framed in time and space.
Comes and goes.
Yeah, comes and goes. So this freedom is the realm of changelessness, ultimate freedom, and has no point of reference. Yeah.
So stop saying to yourself that if I can cross off everything on my bucket list, then I will be satisfied.
Postponing.
Yeah.
Postponing and running away from the treasure that is hiding right here, right now.
Yeah. But is it then so intimate that we look over it? Is it so close by?
Yeah, exactly. It is too close, too immediate, too simple. Something like that. We always believe in problems. We always want to solve a problem. We always want to do something. We want to fix.
Yeah.
We want to attain. We want our steps, and usually it takes a while before all of that is exhausted. That you see, nothing works. I've traveled the world. I've done my courses, my trainings, all of that. Nothing works. A lover doesn't even work. Chocolate doesn't even work. Nothing works.
Yeah. What now?
What now?
Yeah.
Be still. Relax. Yeah.
It sounds so simple.
It is simple.
And
it's
so
very, very simple.
So effortless.
Exactly. Yeah, it is it. It is like that.
It doesn't need a big investment like 10,000 euros or...
No, nothing. This is the road from nothing to nothing.
Yeah.
No money, no effort, no age, no education, nothing. It is already your home. You run away in search of yourself.
Yeah. Every day again and again.
Every day again and again, until you're so fed up.
Yeah. And can maybe illness be of help?
Yeah.
Because
anything that is falling apart, or maybe even success.
Yeah.
People run after success, and then they have success, and they say, "Well, now what?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of another disciple of Alexander, Jan Voudrene, a Dutch psychiatrist, who also said that if everything in the world you tried failed and didn't bring you that which you hoped for, then things get interesting.
Yeah, exactly. When people crash, now what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready now? You apparently needed to crash. Okay, so be it.
Yeah.
Are you ready now? Yeah. Or are you going in the same boat? So be aware, be awake, and see the mechanisms.
Yeah.
So I didn't waver. It was my nature not to waver.
Yeah.
It was my nature to quickly see and acknowledge the road to freedom. Yeah, and Alexander helped me with that.
Yeah.
And later Papaji and Shanti Mai too. Yeah.
And how come you didn't fall into the trap of making spirituality your new nature, your new fabricated home with see what I already have known or did or read or visited?
I don't know.
No.
I remember that when I was a child, sometimes you have this question, when you are big, what do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And there were two words. One was the word disciple. I didn't even know what it meant. But it was something, I didn't dare to speak it. It was so intimate, but it was hiding in me. The word disciple, and the other one was nobody. I thought, wow, that must be so free, to be nobody, to be somebody. Oh, it looks to me quite a burden.
Yeah.
You have to build that every day again, to be somebody. Oh my God. But I thought, to be nobody, you can be everywhere.
Yeah.
So I already had this taste. And later I found out what it meant. And then later I found out, yeah, indeed it is like that.
Yeah. Mr. Nobody, Mr. and Mrs. Nobody.
Yeah, Mr. It's so free.
Yeah. You could be anything.
Yeah, you can, yeah. So you can pop up everywhere.
Yeah.
You can hang out with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's so free.
But isn't it a burden for you now that people see you as a teacher or as the awakened one, or?
No, I don't feel burdened. No, not at all. And I don't see myself as anything. We play this beautiful situation of me expressing myself and people being thirsty for it. So this is our dance together. Yeah. And it is very precious and very beautiful. But I don't see myself as the guru. It's rather, I don't know. Yeah. I have no identity really. Yeah.
Last time we spoke in Dutch, I think I remember I asked you, what about a book?
What about a book?
Yeah. Now we're 2 years
It's
later.
ready.
It's ready.
It's ready.
Also in English?
No, in Dutch.
In Dutch.
So it's ready. In a couple of days it will go to the publisher. Yeah.
What's it called?
I can't say. It's still a secret.
Okay.
I will invite you when it is out.
Oh, there. Okay.
Yeah.
And people can order it through your website, I guess?
I will. I have contact with the publisher.
Okay.
So
it's still fresh.
It's very fresh.
Yeah.
It's still in my computer.
Oh.
But it's a matter of days.
Oh, great.
And then it will go to the publisher. Yeah.
Maybe when you watch this in half a year, it's available all over the place.
It should be in the bookshops, but I don't know yet if the publisher really likes it.
Yeah.
So we have to see. Yeah.
And is it a collection of meetings, or is it your personal
It's a
story?
very traditional question and answer. Yeah. But also some stories. Yeah.
Yeah. And can this be captured in a book?
Again, it's a flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like mystic poetry. Yeah. It can never be captured anywhere. Yeah.
Because it is everywhere.
Yeah, it is everywhere, and it cannot be. The mystery cannot be defined.
Yeah. And divided.
And it cannot be divided. No. So again, these are all pointers. Yeah. One of the books of Nisargadatta was called Pointers, and that's very accurate. Yeah.
The finger pointing to the moon.
Right.
People say.
Right. And people insist on looking at the finger.
And not to what it's pointing.
And not to what it's pointing at. Yeah.
So you are also a pointer.
Yes. Or I called myself last night an alarm clock.
Alarm clock?
Yeah. Like ring, 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 wake up.
Yeah.
Or like we had our little conversation, this image of a bridge. I'm a bridge. Or a spiritual friend at your side.
Yeah. In the movie The Matrix, they had the phone booth where you can pick up the phone and hear truth or.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was a,
yeah.
when people come to meetings with you, that's a whole other thing than reading a book, I guess, because I sit in front of you.
Yeah.
And maybe I tell my life story or I ask questions, and your response is not to the group as a whole, but
it's very precise to a particular one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that it can be different for everyone.
Yeah.
Many of the people who come to satsang I know very well. So I may answer one on a very different level than another one, or even completely the opposite. I will answer to one as to another. Yeah.
Isn't it tiring for you? You have to remember all this stuff. Oh, that's him.
No, I don't remember anything.
No,
I don't remember. But when people ask something, then it is obvious to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can just show them a bigger perspective, so that they can see for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm sitting in front of you at a meeting, and I say to you, what's this problem I have with eating, with my weight? I know that food is for me comfort, it is love, it is against boredom, it is lots of things.
So you already give the answer in the question.
Yeah. And I know it for myself. Yeah. I see myself doing it. I see myself eating this big bowl of spaghetti when half was enough.
Exactly, when half was filling up the hole in the heart, filling up.
Yeah.
But
not every evening. Sometimes everything is fulfilling, but sometimes I feel
it is not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And we rather fill it up with eating or smoking or drinking or sex or football. Fill it up, then sit and experience it completely. And this is the ultimate invitation. Sit and experience without comment, without any conclusion. You just allow it. This feeling. Yeah.
Should I skip my evening meal? When I feel hungry, should you just be hungry or be with the hunger, or is that too much of a...
You ask for strategies.
Yeah.
I think it is a profound decision. It comes down to a profound decision.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's something better.
Yeah.
Am I investing in that fully and totally? And then the need for filling up will just dissolve. It will fade away.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Alexander was coffee, eating, a lot.
Cakes.
Yeah. So there is not a rule written in stone. But most of the time it will relax. Yeah. But there are many awakened people who indulge in sexuality, and many who has become meaningless to them.
Yeah.
So it can be anything. But usually it starts with a firm decision. I don't want this anymore. I know there's something better. I go for it. Yeah. That's a decision somehow. And that decision is a decision to live along the line of truth. And that truth is your boss. And that you're willing to listen and to receive and to act accordingly. It's a willingness, a profound willingness, and a profound urge and love for the best life, most shiny life.
Yeah. A colleague of yours, Giovanjali, also a disciple of Shanti Mai, once said, "This is the quality of your being. Don't settle for less."
Yeah.
That's what you're pointing at also.
Exactly.
Quality of being.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know what is possible. And that is always fascinating to me, when people know what is possible and the next moment turn their back.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by that.
Why do we settle for less?
Yeah. Again, fear. Fear is always the great big thing. And again, people don't want to be disturbed in their comfort. Don't disturb me. Yeah. So they They live in this cocoon of belief systems and comfort. Yeah.
Do I maybe think I'm unworthy of?
Can be.
And I think, well, that's not.
Yeah, not for me.
No.
Can be. Yeah. But there is something in you that knows better.
Yeah.
And are you, again, willing to listen to this depth? What knows? This is only a protective statement. Yeah, an excuse.
Yeah. Could it be laziness? That I think, well, another lifetime. I'm content with this coffee.
Yeah, we can give lots of reasons. We can also say, well, it can be captured by the word maturity. By the word maturity.
Yeah.
Can be captured by that word.
And why? Maturity?
Yeah, maturity to have this unwavering willingness, or to hide in excuses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spiritual maturity. Yeah, and many children nowadays are very mature. And many elderly people are very immature.
Very childish. Yeah.
Very childish, yeah.
Still want their needs fulfilled.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now.
Right now,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, a good test is I'm hungry. I'm thinking, okay, I could go to this place and have to wait for half an hour and then get a delicious meal.
Mm-hmm.
Or I drive through McDonald's and get it in 5 minutes and I eat it, and after 10 minutes I feel terrible, and after 1 hour I'm hungry again.
Yeah, and angry.
Angry at yourself.
Angry at yourself. I've done it again.
I did it again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you deal with the consequences of your actions and of your choices. We all do. I deal with the consequences and the actions of my choices. We all do.
Yeah.
And many people nowadays get fed up. I don't want to live on this frequency anymore. And to hang out with people who are negative, who are complaining, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
I want this shine in my life.
It takes courage.
It takes courage, and we all have it. Yeah.
But it's handy to have someone like you who tells you...
Empowers you.
Empowers you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Empowers you.
Gives you faith?
Confidence.
Confidence.
Trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's then again up to you whether you want it or not, you know. You can also sit at satsang like that. Who the hell do you think you are?
Yeah. How does she know?
Yeah, how does she know? Pfft, you can sit like that.
Yeah.
It's all up to you.
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you really, really, really want from life?
Yeah.
It tells you quickly. Yeah.
That's a good question to start.
It's an excellent question to start. What do you really want from life?
Yeah.
And the so-called guru doesn't want anything. The guru is already happy and fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know.
So
I don't need anything from anybody. I'm fine.
Not on a mission to awaken everybody.
No.
And still you do.
And still I do.
Yeah.
But it is because of the... Well, first of all, my gurus push me. And now it is because the people long. It is by their longing that the words come.
Mm.
When the longing is... Yeah, like that. When the longing is not there, I zap.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing moving in me. Nothing. Yeah.
So right now I'm pulling these words out of you.
Right. Yeah.
And slurping them.
Yeah, it's the longing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I reflect a little bit on this mission thing. Because there is a love. There is a love somehow in action, you know, to show.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you demonstrated that again for the last hour. Thank you very much. Looking forward to your book, maybe in English in a couple.
It will come.
Yeah, it will come.
Yeah.
The website is prajnaparamita.nl.
Right.
There's also your agenda. People can come to France to visit you, and a couple of times a year here in...
many times.
Many
I'm
times,
here
yeah.
every 6 weeks, and I give lots of satsangs, and every time a satsang weekend also. That's very intense.
In Baarn.
In Baarn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for people who come from other countries, in Baarn you speak in English also.
Yeah.
Whole weekend or just
the whole weekend?
Yeah.
English.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Dutch people find that limiting. Then we communicate in Dutch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah. And every age.
Every age.
You say even children come to visit you.
Yeah.
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 And you told me a beautiful quote at the kitchen table. What do children say when they come to a meeting with you?
One child said, "Why does my heart feel so warm?" And I said, a 7-year-old girl, and I said, "Because the sun is shining in your heart." Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Sitting here with Michael. Michael Damien, I hope I pronounced your last name right.
You did.
Okay. You've been to the Netherlands before. No, it's not your first time here.
Yeah, I've been here several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it about Holland that brings you here so often?
Well, I studied here as a student in college, and of course, because there's a lot of English spoken, that made it easier. And I have some ancestors from here, and then I made some friends, and I got an invitation to do some satsangs. So I came, and the communities were very open, very interested in spirituality. So I love to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have any explanation why the message of non-duality is so, let's say, people respond to it so well here in Holland?
I think Holland as a society is very well developed. I think there's a philosophical and cultural basis that is here, that is not in every country necessarily. And so I think the people have a more inward, personal focus on spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get into that inner layer or inner attitude, then you're really getting down to business. You're getting into the core questions of suffering versus happiness. So I think Holland and maybe other parts of Western Europe are very free thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And non-duality is free thinking par excellence. So
Yeah,
it's about freedom, exactly, and it's very philosophical, but it's also involves your heart. It involves your feelings too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your whole being.
Your whole being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You come from California?
I'm from New England originally, but I've been living in California for 15 years, so now I'm Californian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been there, but people tell me that's almost the same over there. That there's also a big non-duality community, a lot of satsangs going on.
Yeah.
Any more similarities?
California is the Netherlands of America.
Yeah.
In that it's the most liberal. It's very tolerant. It's the place where dreamers go. It's a place where differences are very celebrated. Independent thinking, untraditional thinking, or less traditional. Everyone, the 60s human potential movement started in California. So it's got the whole culture there of inner growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back home you do a lot of meetings also?
Yeah, I work with people. I have regular groups there that people can regularly come and keep deepening. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because this isn't a message that you hear once and then think, well, let's go on with my life. I now heard it. How do you see it?
It takes... You can go to 100 satsangs and hear it 100 times from different people. But even that isn't really enough. You have to... It helps to work with maybe one teacher for at least for a while, and really build a relationship with the teachings, so that you're living them, so that it can be totally digested and realized. So I emphasize the relationship between the teacher and the student. Although I don't think of people as students, let's say, but relatively speaking, it's someone who's trying to learn this knowledge. And they have to, there are so many obstacles and confusions that keep coming up again and again and again. So it really helps to have a guide, an experienced guide, who knows the terrain and knows you, and who you trust. So that teaching and guidance is done in a context of friendship, but it's just a little different type of friendship.
It almost sounds like therapy, a kind of therapy.
It is. I am a therapist as well, but the spiritual work is a little different. Yeah, of course.
Do you still emphasize on the story? Let's say I come to you and I tell you, well, my life is one big mess. Do you then immediately start telling me that my life story has nothing to do with me, or do you go into the story, or how does that work?
The teaching that you're not your story and that you're living in an illusion is given on different levels depending on the person. Otherwise I would just be a parrot who's just parroting back the truth. So the big picture fact that this mess has been created by illusions, that has to be introduced, yes, but then I have to help you to see how that was created. What are the illusions? It doesn't work for me to just tell you it's an illusion, it doesn't matter, because you're in the middle of it and you're identifying with it.
Yeah, for me it's real.
For you, it's absolutely real. So there's a respect for that. That's your experience. It's not the truth, but it's your experience, and we're going to show you with the teachings exactly how to change that. And I will show you exactly how, and it will happen. So
it almost sounds like a microsurgery, a very delicate way of...
That's right. It's a very direct path that I teach, but that doesn't mean you hit people over the head with a hammer. You see, there are no shortcuts really, because the person has to navigate and take in the teachings according to their ability, and each person has a different capacity or readiness to comprehend and to open. So it's depending on each individual mind, let's say.
It brings up a subject, I guess. Could it be dangerous for people to just watch YouTube videos all the time and repeating the mantras of Advaita to themselves? That doesn't solve anything, or does it?
Well, I have to agree with you. It's very limited when you're just taking in different teachings, because teachers use words differently. And you're absorbing different mantras, but there's a context in which the mantra has a meaning and needs to be applied, and then it has to be elaborated and understood fully in your life. So yes, many seekers are taking in mantras, and they're repeating them, but unfortunately that's not enough.
Yeah, I'm just reminding myself if that is not what I'm doing for the last 5 or 10 years. I don't know. It could be.
Well, I work with seekers who have been hearing the mantras and repeating them, and they've even been doing mantra meditation, let's say, for 40 years.
Yeah.
But they don't realize the truth because what they lack is sustained contact with a teacher.
Yeah.
And that's more powerful, to get your particular questions answered and get into the living teaching. And so if that's not happening, all you're doing is you're clinging to the spiritual ideas, which it's probably better that you cling to those than to cling to drugs or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's not going to do it.
No.
The question is how. How is that mantra true? How do you realize it for yourself? So, yeah.
But then I'm thinking, well, it's a universal truth. Every teacher is talking about. Why would it not apply to you and me and everybody on the street?
It does apply, but do you realize it?
Yeah.
You can have the intuition that it's a universal truth.
Yeah.
And that intuition is good intuition. But how do you realize it? And for that, your intellect and your discernment and your insight has to be very sharp. It has to be subtle. You have to develop a subtle mind. The seeker is not trying to become consciousness, right? You already are. So you sense that universal truth. You are consciousness. Everything is consciousness. We can call it other things too. But then the question is, how do you fully? What people say is, I sense that, and I maybe tasted that, but how do I fully live in it permanently?
Yeah.
And the thing is, what's stopping you from realizing and living that and knowing that that is the fact all the time is that the mind is still harboring false beliefs and distortions. There are many different distortions, subtle. And because of those distortions, it seems like a cloud that's blocking the sun again and again and again.
Yeah.
And so the trick is to get in subtler and subtler and clear out the ignorance. See, the ignorance that we have effectively blocks what already is. So we're not trying to become what we already are. We're trying to strip away that ignorance, and that's the microsurgery. That's when. So you come to the teacher for the microsurgery and the particular medicine that you need. So we were talking about, I say things to people in a certain moment.
Yeah.
That just unlocks doors. And that's something you cannot get from a mantra. I'll say one thing to one person and something else to someone else, and it's totally different and it's totally unique to the moment. And that comes from, emptiness wisdom.
Yeah.
So that's what you need to be in that direct contact then to do the microsurgery. Otherwise, what happens? You have if you cling to those ideas only, yes, you have a more spiritual life, you have a little more insight, but you always remain in that duality. You still haven't closed the gap.
Yeah. So it's like the onion, you peel off the things of the onion until nothing remains, or what does remain when you start? You say the sun and you remove the clouds, but will clouds appear again?
Clouds in this respect means ignorance, and know that ignorance doesn't appear again. Thoughts continue, feelings continue, but that's not the same as ignorance. So clouds means fundamental belief in separation, fundamental negativities that do block your awareness of the truth, that do block your nature as unconditional love and unconditioned awareness.
Yeah.
So when that is deeply stripped away and seen through by the light that you are, I call it consciousness, then it cannot appear again. So you may have heard the idea, well, you've had an awakening, but now you need to keep awakening in every moment, or that's just a memory, forget it, or something like that. But really, that's not awakening then. That's not a real realization. The realization doesn't leave you ever. It's forever. It's eternal. And it's a complete, timeless knowing when it comes. Before that is all little glimpses, and I experienced that, and we were saying I had an awakening, and then I had another awakening. Well, how many awakenings do you have to have before you're awake? So that wasn't the awakening, really. Yeah. So once that real insight has hit home, mm-hmm. the non-dual insight, it is absolutely clear all the time, because it's not based in time, it's timeless. It just has to be clear and deep enough. Yeah.
And what do you think about teachers who tell me, well, everybody is already awakened, enlightened, it's just the belief in the thought that you are not that keeps you away from being awakened, enlightened?
Well, it's absolutely true that that's one of the deepest core beliefs, that blocks your awareness of it. But the question is, and it's absolutely true that everyone is the light of being or consciousness. But the question is, how do you help people to realize that for themselves? Yes, you can say it's your belief that you're not. That's true. That's right there at the core of it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to show or help the person to cut through that belief.
Yeah.
And if you are only saying that it's true, but you don't work with people, then you're not really teaching, you're just preaching a truth.
Yeah.
So I like to say I'm not a preacher, I'm more of a teacher.
To do it to know it yourself. You're not giving knowledge, you're awakening knowledge within.
Yeah, it's guiding people, it's mentoring, it's not as I'm the teacher, but it's working intimately with the person. That's teaching. That's called teaching.
Yeah.
The thing that you help the person to do, speaking of traditional teaching, is it all comes down to discernment.
What's this word?
Discernment, clarity.
Okay.
Yeah, slicing the true from the false, the knower from the known. It's the sword of prajna, they call it in Buddhism. And it's, you are already the light, but you tell yourself you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So the way to realize that is to constantly discern between that which is real, the conscious, the observer, and the apparent. And that's a very, demanding task, to constantly develop that, so that you stop identifying with emotions, so that you stop thinking that it's a problem with your chakras to solve, or because that's all energy. You're before the energy. But if people don't know how to observe, and they can't meditate because they're so restless, then that insight will not
hit home.
Yeah.
So A Course in Miracles, it's the big blue book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had it on my next to my bed for, let's say, a year, and every time I looked at it, it went like, oh! I opened it, I read a few pages, and I put it back again. What is it that makes this book so powerful?
I don't know. The book itself is a miracle. It came to someone, who was like an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
It's a powerful book. It's pointing very strongly to your nature as not just that everything is one, but we can say the universe is one and the table and the cup are one and all that.
Yeah.
But the deeper question is, what are you? And the Course tells you that you are eternal spirit, that you are the spiritual light, this intelligence that is forever. And I emphasize that aspect as well, that you exist as this spiritual intelligence. But that doesn't mean you're a separate self. That is the self with a capital S, in which there is no separate self. We experience that universality. And the Course is putting a very strong focus on your responsibility, your ability to manage your thoughts and to watch your thoughts and take total responsibility for your thinking. Because that's the deepest level of your being, is the thought level, the belief level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the Course was called a Christian Vedanta. Because Vedanta is saying, and so is Zen and so is Sufi, they're all saying this, that the level of belief and identity and thought is the core to, closest to home to work with. And until you get on that level, and you're just trying to change your energy from the outside in, or your emotions. But that's not it. It's really going down to the core.
Yeah. It's not an easy job, I can imagine. Or is it?
Because you have to. It depends on the person. It depends on how ready you are.
Yeah.
If you're absolutely desperate for truth, then you find it easy to surrender the false. So hard and easy are relative to the person's mind state. It's easy to awaken if you're ready to awaken. But that being said, most people find it hard what the Course is telling them to do. Constant forgiveness, constant humility, extending love as Christ did, and really facing the illusions of death and accepting the reality of God. People don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Even non-dualists don't want to accept that there is God.
It's a bridge too far.
Yeah. It's almost too. So there's a lot of nihilism in the ego, in the mind of ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
It wants to believe in nothing and have no responsibility.
Yeah.
And just not to exist anymore. So if a certain non-dual teaching has a little bit that flavor that nothing matters.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you happen to kill someone today, that's fine.
Yeah. Nobody was there anyway.
Yeah. Right. No, but that's not true, because the world, there's a moral law in you. There's a spiritual love and light in you that you are. So when you break those laws, you experience the consequence, which the Course calls hell or heaven. And, we don't have a choice as to, I can't not be this spiritual being that I am.
Mm-hmm.
But non-duality seems to tell people that you don't have to be anything. Especially that you don't have to be intelligent.
Yeah. Everything just happens as it happens. And all those other dogmas. I think they call it the Advaita shuffle.
Well, everything's happening, yes, but everything's happening for reasons to do with your own ignorance or wisdom. So it doesn't do me any good just to say, well, it's just happening that I hit my child or...
So you have to be very alert to what is going on in your life, circumstances, people you meet.
Before you realize the divine will or the greater will of things, you have to take responsibility as if, yeah, I'm responsible. Even though I have a limited identity, and I have a limited understanding of the greater will, I have to first take responsibility.
The ability to respond, someone once explained to me.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm walking in nature and I suddenly see an elderly woman fall into the water. I don't have to think about what my response will be. I just respond. I just jump in the water and try to save the woman. Yeah. Is that then the divine will working through me or as me? Or we all know those kind of moments where you don't think about what you do, you just act.
Your will is the divine will, yeah.
Always.
Yeah, that divine will is also, it's another word for the intelligence that you are. The responsiveness, yeah, the sensitivity, which is love as well. So
let's say me doing those interviews, which don't bring me any money and takes a lot of time, and it feels great doing it. Is that a sign that, well, this is just my thing to do?
Yeah, when it feels great, that is a sign.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't think about what time it costs or money or investment.
Because you've been through doing things just to do them, or it was a good job. Now there's a higher inner reason, and so yeah, that's exactly right for you.
And how is that for you? Because I understood that you have your PhD in psychology. You could start working as a psychologist and start earning the big bucks, I don't know, but with a fair amount of income, I guess. But instead you choose to come to Holland and to talk to people, which doesn't bring, I can imagine, a big fortune to your bank account.
I do both, actually. I do practice psychology, so yeah, well, neither one of those is really bringing the big bucks. I'm not, I'm not bent on that.
No.
Yeah, I'd rather have a more balanced life. Yeah, but the teaching is something that comes to you, that you just have to do it. You enjoy to do it.
I once heard a teacher tell me that, well, it's not always a blessing. It's something that gets thrown into your lap, and here, deal with it.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. Yeah. It's not always easy.
No.
And there's different ways to do it as well. So.
You also do one-on-one sessions with people through Skype. Mm-hmm. And how long does such a path take? Is it a half a year? Can you put a amount of time on it so I know when I'm ready?
It depends on the person. It depends on what they're ready for. Some people are closer than they think. They're more ready than they may think.
Yeah.
Lightning can strike at any time, of course, so it's hard to say. But some people need to work more on their foundation, on their maybe they're totally immersed in false thinking and dramas, and they need a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that takes a while.
And does it help if I, let's say, read your book and then the other big books by Nisargadatta and that? And could you say then, well, he's ready for it?
It helps. Yeah, it really helps, because you're acquainting with the teachings have a certain flavor, have a certain medicine in them, and sitting and reading at your own pace, that really builds the ground for it. Yeah. So I recommend it highly. Yeah.
The Art of Freedom: A Guide to Awakening is your the book that is being officially released in November of this year.
Yes.
And there are some teachers, Michael, who tell me without crisis, no awakening. Do you agree with that? And if so, what was your big crisis then?
Not everyone goes through an exact crisis. Some are more coming on a smooth path. So mine was a little more smooth because I was a lifelong spiritual seeker.
Yeah.
So I was kind of moving like along the staircase, so to speak. I was in school for psychology, and I became more and more interested in absolute truth and freedom and awakening, whatever that might be.
Mm-hmm.
So there came a point, and this does happen to people who are on that path, that I couldn't maintain the identity project, the false identity project. I didn't have that interest. So it's a kind of crisis in that you cannot believe in the future that you might have once believed in. And in my case,